On godliness and spirituality. Now there are some portions that still some corrupt priests, some corrupt pastors quote to support their illegality, to support their corruption in this issue of tithes and offering. Let's follow that through so that we clear everything up. Let's go to Malachi. Let's start from Malachi where they normally quote, and we go to the New Testament. Malachi chapter 2, I read from verse 8. But ye are departed out of the way. You have caused many to stumble at the law. Ye who? The corrupt priests say, you have caused many to stumble at the law. You have corrupted the covenants of Levi, says the Lord. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi. Because the priests corrupted the covenant of Levi, chapter 3, verse 1. Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me, and the Lord whom ye seek shall suddenly come to his temple. The Lord that you are looking for, the Lord that you are seeking, shall suddenly come to his temple. And even the messenger of the covenant, whom you delight, behold, he shall come, say the Lord. The law that you are seeking, because you have corrupted the ordinances of the Lord, you have corrupted the laws of the Lord, and you have made many to stumble. The Lord himself will come to his temple, and he's coming to clear everything. He's coming to remove all these illegalities. He's coming to remove all these legalities and illegality that you have placed on everywhere in the worship of God. And so when the Lord himself comes and takes over the temple, what will happen? Romans chapter 10. We read Romans chapter 10. We see when the Lord comes to his temple, because the Lord will come, say when the Lord will suddenly come to his temple. And when he comes to his temple, look at Romans chapter 10, verse 4. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness. For Christ, when he comes to the temple, what will happen? For Christ is the end of the law. That your illegality, that your tithe and offering, those things that you have corrupted, all those things will be removed. All the perfect priest, the perfect high priest will come to do the final. For Christ is the end of the law for righteousness to everyone that believeth. For righteousness to everyone that liveth. For Moses described the righteousness which is of the law. So Christ is the end of the law. Christ is the end of the law. Let's go to where they will normally reference, they will normally say, this is what we are doing. We see that Christ is the one who will come, the messenger, the Lord who will come in his throne, and that will be the end of the law. That will mark the end of the law. The ordinances that they are practicing, that will mark the end of that. And look at that. So from that time, those things that they were practicing, the ordinance in the law, they continued. And they continued, that's Malachi we read, and they continued to the New Testament. Let's read the New Testament now. Those laws continued unto the New Testament, because people normally cite the New Testament. You see that the corrupt priests carry the same thing into the New Testament. Let's see the New Testament now that people normally quote and say, well, this is it. Let's go to Matthew chapter 23, verse 18. Let me read that to show you that the corruption of the priests, the corruption of those in charge of the temple continued even to the first part of the New Testament. Let's look at that. Matthew chapter 23, verse 18. And whosoever shall say by the altar, who shall swear by the altar, it is nothing. They continue the corruption that if you swear by the altar, it is nothing. But whosoever shall swear by the gift that is upon the altar is guilty. You see that? That is the corruption that continued into the New Testament. They're telling you, if you swear by the altar, it is nothing. But if you swear by the gift on the altar, then you are guilty. Why? Because they continued in that corruption. They continued in that, cornering the gift, cornering the sacrifices, cornering the tithe and offering. They continued in that corruption of cornering all these things and looting them, emptying the storehouse of the Lord. And so they continue there. So they tell you, well, if you swear by the altar, it's nothing. But if you swear by the gift, you are guilty. That's what they continued. Let's continue there. Ye fools and blind, for whether is greater, the Christ correcting them, for whether is greater the gift or the altar that sanctified the gift. Now, whosoever therefore shall swear by the altar, swear by it and by all the law. You see, Christ is removing the corruption that they have done. Look at another corruption that they put there. And they say, whosoever swear, look at another corruption that they put there. And he that swear by the heavens, swear by the throne of heaven, and by him that swear that seated. Now verse 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Scribes and Pharisees continue the corrupt practices, the corruption into the New Testament. Look at how they continue that. We have seen how they continue that, how they say, oh, if you swear by the altar, it's nothing, but if you swear by the gift, you are guilty. Now look at that. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites. Ye say, for ye pay tithe. For ye pay who? For ye pay tithes. Ye pay tithe of mint. Ye pay sacrifices. They may read it again. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, ye hypocrites, for ye pay tithes of mint and anise. For ye pay, you Sadducees and Pharisees, ye pay tithes of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law. You have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These things ought ye to have done, and not to left the order undone. They say, Christ said, you should also do this, but you shouldn't have left this undone. Because the Old Testament continued, the Old Testament continued even up to this latter time. And so Christ has not made the perfect sacrifice as the high priest. So that continued. That paying of tithes continued. That paying of remember the nation of Israel. Remember the nation of Israel. That paying of tithe. And so what happened was that the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the scribes who were in charge of the temple continued in this tithe and offering. They continued to exploit the people. They continued to exact tithe and offering on the people so much. And Christ corrected them that, look, you omitted the weightier matters of the law, but you shouldn't have omitted them. They say, yes, this is what Christ said. Remember, let's go to another injunction. You said before, you said that's the Old Testament. You say no, but Christ did not abolish that. Let's see what Christ also did not abolish. One, because the Old Testament continued until the sacrifice, when the end of the law would have ended, when the law would have ended, if Christ makes the sacrifice, that the law would have ended. And now, Mark chapter 1, verse 44. Look at what he said. And Christ said unto them, see that thou say not, and after healing the man, the man that had leprosy. After healing, they say, see that thou say nothing to any man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer for thy cleansing those things which Moses had commanded in the law. And so at this early stage, the law had not been removed, because he is the end of the law. The moment he makes the sacrifice, the law is removed. That law is removed. So he said that, you see that he had not happened where he said them, go and offer those things that are commanded by Moses in the sacrifice. Go and after healing, you go and show them, so that you do the sacrifices that are commanded according to the law of Moses. According to the law, just like he said, yes, you should have done this, but you ought not to have left this undone. They say, yes. Now, let's come to the river. So, I'm giving you two instances where he said, well, leave it like that for now, because the perfect sacrifice had not been done. Let's go to another one that people will leverage and say, yes. We go to that of Melchizedek. We go to that of Melchizedek, because it's a picture. They say Abraham paid tithe, so we should also pay tithe. Let's go to that. We have also seen this, and how that's the carryover of the Old Testament, but Christ has not made the perfect sacrifice, which we end that. And now, look at Melchizedek. Look at what is happening here. For verse 1, verse 2, it says, for to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of that. They say, yes, Abraham paid tithe, and so we should pay tithe. Wait a minute. For being by interpretation the king of righteousness, and after that also the king of Salem, which is the king of peace. Without then describing Melchizedek. Now let's go to verse 5. Verily they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law. According to the law, that is of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham. So, but he whose descent is not counted from them received tithe of Abraham, and bless him that had the promise. And without all contradiction, the less is blessed and the one. Now, verse 8. And here men that die receive tithe, but there he receiveth them of whom it is witnessed that he liveth. And verse 9. And as I may so say so, Levi also, who receiveth tithe, paid tithe in Abraham. Where the Levites there, it's talking Abraham, before the law was instituted, it's talking about Abraham, that Abraham paid tithe to a high priest. Abraham paid tithe to a high priest. And by that, Abraham paid tithes for the Levites who were in their law. Did the Levites pay tithe? No. But Abraham paying tithe, by extension, paid tithe for what the Levite will do, the work of the office of the Levite. And when the Levite came and took over that means by Abraham paying tithe to the high priest, that is the Melchizedek, the Levite had paid tithes. With the scribes and the Pharisees also paid tithe. Remember, Pharisees and scribes paid tithe. Levites paid tithe. You that call yourself priest, pastors, what do you pay tithe? Well, so he said yes, he commanded them to pay tithe. Now let's go down to that. For he was yet in the loins of Abraham when Melchizedek met him. Verse 11. If therefore perfection were of the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people received the law, what further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek, and not after the order of Aaron? What need that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek? Now, verse, for the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. That is made also, for the priesthood being changed, there is also of necessity made a change of the law. That means in Christ, the law became null. The law was changed. That's why it's saying Christ is the end of that law. Christ is the end of that law. Follow me as we continue.